In this video, I'm going to be explaining how to solve subtraction word problems using a technique called the bar model method. We have used this in class to help students have a deeper understanding of subtraction word problems and would like for it to be implemented at home for reinforcement. Here's an example of what you might see on your child's homework in the next couple of days. Sven and Belle have 10 total tuna treats. If Sven has 7 tuna treats on his plate, how many tuna treats are on Belle's plate?
Alright, as we solve this problem, we're going to use the bar model method as mentioned earlier. So we're going to start out by just drawing our bar model. The bar model is split into two parts. It has our total up at the top and what we use for our parts at the bottom. This allows students to realize that big numbers are made up of smaller numbers, and they can decompose the numbers into two separate parts or even more. So when we look over here, we can find our total. We already know that, which would be our 10 total tuna treats. It's important that you also look for the label in the problem because your students or your children will be asked to label their bar models as well. So we have 10 total tuna treats. Now, as we look at the parts, we're going to flip back over and see how many parts we have in our problem. As we look, we can see that we have two separate parts. We have Sven and his tuna treats and Belle and her tuna treats. So we can put in 7 into one of our parts because we already know that. So we're going to split this section at the bottom into two parts, and we're going to write 7 tuna treats. And I'm going to put Sven. And this part, as we saw over here as well, and the part that we're looking for is Belle's tuna treats on her plate. The way we can help solve this is also using manipulatives. And right here we have two manipulatives, and there are 10 blocks in each one of these. And so this would represent our total, while this would represent our two parts added together. So if we look at this, we know we have 7 in one part, and so we can put those 7 right here. And we know that the leftover, since they have to be equal to the total, would be Bella's treats. And so our 7 for Sven plus our 3 left over for Bella would be equal to our total tuna treats up here. And so we would write that right there, and that would be your student's answer.
Growing up, I learned, as many of you probably did, to only pay attention to the numbers in word problems. However, doing this, students may miss some key, very important details in the problem that could change the way they do the problem. Bar modeling is a really great way for students to not only solve the math problem, but to also understand how to represent it symbolically, which ultimately gives them a deeper understanding of what's going on. Bar modeling can also be used in the future when students move on to multiplication, division, and more complex problems. So although sometimes it may seem like a lot more work when it could just be paid attention to the numbers, in the long run it will really allow students to have a deeper understanding of what the problem is really asking, and later on do more complex problems.